Hey, I'm Cliff.
And I'm Susan.
And welcome to the Cliff and Susan podcast.
We're excited to have Anna Brinker on here today with us, guys. Welcome, Anna. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, we were just chatting before we jumped on here about the air show yesterday, and it was a great event here in Central Arkansas, and just really excited to visit with you, Anna, about your latest project, and let everybody know about your music, your latest project, but just in general, talk about music and all things being an independent artist and doing these things a lot of times ourselves. But we love your voice. You have such a pure, sweet, beautiful voice, and your songwriting is awesome. And so I just thought, when Cliff and I saw that you were dropping your own self-release album, I was like, what you doing? I hadn't heard about this. And then I saw you out there talking about each song each day. So I was like, this girl she's got something good up her sleeve. So I watched you talk about each song every day, and then it was here. And then I was like, okay, what's this going to be? And I jumped on, I listened, I was like, this is good. Okay, good job. So let's talk about, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to your latest album release that you did self-release. I want you to tell us about that. But Cliff's going to kind of chime in too. I like to talk a lot, but Cliff don't forget.
She does most of the talking.
But I would love for you to tell everybody like where you're from and how you got into music. And then we'll talk about some of your projects before this latest one.
Yeah, awesome. So I've lived in Arkansas since like 2002.
Okay.
We moved around a whole lot before that. Never lived in the same place longer than 6 months before that. So I never really had like roots anywhere. And the one common thing during all the moving was music. There was choir in school, church music, and of course then just the radio and daddy playing at home with mama. And so it's always been a constant for me. So when I moved to Arkansas in 2002, of course I found choir again. And I really got to have a steady, I guess the same place, got to grow in that one place. And it was really cool because each year in choir, of course it's something different. And then you join, the church choir, and then you have your friends who sing. And then I eventually got my first guitar from my dad, a little pawn shop Abilene back in like 2007. And I guess it just kind of went from there. Honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me, before Arkansas, where were you? Maybe I missed that.
Oh yeah. So I've lived all the way out in Wyoming, Wisconsin, Missouri, Mississippi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
my family's all from Illinois.
Cool. Well, I imagine some of those stories probably influenced some of your songwriting, since that was probably a lot of your childhood. And then,
absolutely.
Well, cool. So you got the guitar, and when was songwriting? When did songwriting happen for you? Was that when you were young, or was that when you got the guitar? Where did that happen?
So I feel like I've always kind of, I would make up little songs before I could play guitar, and with my little girlfriends, we'd make up little dances, or back in the day, those sorts of things.
I remember those days. Yeah.
So you have to show your parents in the living room all that stuff. But yeah, after I got my guitar, it really blossomed. Of course, when I got my guitar was close after Taylor Swift started, her career.
Yeah.
So her strumming pattern was like pretty easy, G, C, E minor, D, basic stuff. So I could listen to her songs and follow along with the strumming patterns. And then I started just writing after that.
Awesome.
Once I kind of got things down. So
cool. Well, so I see on here, I was doing my homework to make sure I had all of my history on your discography up in front of me to know like when you started dropping the songs on, the platform. So I'm on Spotify right now, and I see 2018, The Possum. Was that the first one you released out there?
That is, yes, ma'am. That's the one that my dad wrote, Bill Scranton.
That's
and
cool.
Then my husband added a verse, and I put the music to it, and we ran to Nashville and made a music video in under 24 hours.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think the first time I met you was at the Arkansas Country Music Awards when I was doing sound, and you were playing for the VIP area. I remember that's the first time I heard you, and I think I had told Susan about you, and you had such a great voice and presence, and loved your songs. And I've had the pleasure of working with you on one of your songs, which she kind of mentioned, Wild and Free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
And literally, that's one of my most favorite releases.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, it is. And that song, of course, is about Wyoming when I was like 5 years old.
That's right. You produced that.
It's real meaningful.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You know what? I'm just like, and also, you guys, for those of you who know about our Yodelu Music and Arts Festival, she kicked off our festival this year. So, it's time flies, doesn't it? It feels like
it really does.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for us to talk about this latest project. Let's go ahead and do that because, tell me, like, where were you when you decided, hey, I think I'll just do this myself, and tell me how you did it. And the quality of it's great. So I'm excited that you were able to do that. And I'm sure there's a lot you can share behind the scenes with this. So I'd love for you to open up about that.
Absolutely. So I'll start, of course, Cliff produced Wild and Free, and I loved it. And so my brain from there was like, let's get all the songs together, Anna, that you've got. Let's figure out which one to put out next. Let's, get a game plan. And when I actually got surprised by my husband for my birthday, he was going to pay for me to have another song produced. And at that moment, I was like, well, crap, I can't decide, which one to do next.
Yeah.
My dad wanted one, Cruz wanted, one, and then I wanted all of them. So I got to thinking, and I was like, I've had this equipment, this software that Cruz had bought for me. Y'all, I'm not going to lie. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say it, but I guess I've never had the motivation or the reason to get past my frustration with it and actually learn it. Because I would get to a point and I'd be like, man, I can't get this to sound right. I can't get this to, do this or do that. And I would just be like, it's okay. I'll just get to it later. Well, then I was like, you know what? It's in there. Let me sit down with it for a few days. Right. And I figured it out.
Awesome.
And I was like, holy cow, it was a good feeling. Like, okay, so this is how I can make this not sound like I'm singing in a tin can. That's wonderful.
Awesome.
So then I was like, what if I just did it?
Do it. And you did it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah. Well, so on some of the harmonies on those songs, I know that's you, right? Did you do the harmonies on your own songs there? Is that what I hear?
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds so good. Okay, well, and Cliff, I know we were listening to it in the bed the other day where I was like, let's go make sure we know all of her songs, or has listened to most of them on the album. And I just think it's a great, it's obviously acoustic, but it's just, I was like, this has got a mood about it that you could just play it the whole way through and just have that same cool mood and experience all of your songs, but just have, I don't know, there's a lot of continuity, I would say, on the album. So that's cool. But I think for other artists to hear this story, it's like, you can do this on your own, guys. Like, there's no time like right now to be an independent artist. I imagine your budget was not super high. I imagine, you were able to, and then you get to be in control and be behind and like you said, there was some frustration, and I get that because I'm totally there. I remember the day when I tried before I met Cliff, and I did the same thing, and I was like, well, never mind.
And that's the great thing about, doing an acoustic vocal. It's actually kind of cool and sometimes better if it can be a little bit more raw and not overproduced, and as long as you get the vocals to sound right and the guitar to sound right. I mean, that you don't have so much going on that you have to know, in-depth mix, info or
exactly that.
That's, I mean, it's a great way for, artists to know that they can do the same thing. If they just want to do a piano vocal or a guitar vocal or, something, if that's what their instrument is, you can do it. Yeah. I bet,
And when I say I figured it out, I am far from actually figuring it out. I actually can just wing it at this point. And I took all of the, presets and all of the, I don't know what they're called even, that sounds silly, but all of the options that were on when I opened up the software to start recording, I turned all of that off. And the only thing that I put on was a little reverb to fill it out a little bit. And so I still have a lot of learning to do, which is actually cool because I'm like, okay, that means I can grow some more.
Well, that's what I love about this is I think this will influence your writing, and you might get, you're going to think more like an arranger now that you're doing your own tracks.
So do you know what microphone, what hardware, and what software you used?
Yes, I have my Shure Super 55 as my mic. And then I've got the Studio One. I'm not at the most updated version. I'm still at like the 2.5, I think. And then I have the PreSonus Audio Box. that I plug everything into as far as my mic and my guitar.
That's great. That's
So,
what I recommend to everybody.
Oh, that's
It's pretty
awesome.
much exactly what you just said, with the exception of the microphone. I mean, there are so many microphones out there. The Super 55 is awesome.
I love it.
It gives you the old school feel just to record with its warm sound. And Studio One is very, very user friendly. And I will say I worked in Pro Tools for a long time. That's what a lot of people still use. But so many people have switched over to Studio One, and I did too about 6 years ago. And it's super user friendly. And when you get into the like more technical side, it's got so much more to offer than what Pro Tools used to have. So
awesome.
That's great.
I've got a couple of questions. So
Yes, ma'am.
when you decided to do this, were you nervous to tell the world that you're like, here we go? I mean, I know whenever we're about to drop a project, it's like kind of nerve wracking to tell everybody what's going on. And the fact that you self-produced it, I know I saw some of your posts, and I'm just curious about where your headspace was. I'm sure you were excited, and then also I'm wondering how long it took you to do this. Like, when did you decide, and then when did you tell the world and, get ready for release?
Yeah, so I was terrified, like legit terrified.
I remember you saying that online. That's why I was asking that question.
So scary. Because, I mean, in a way, like, it was put out, like, for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was very therapeutic. When I say that, like, I genuinely mean that. Like, I can't explain it. I needed it, like, so bad. I needed to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the end of August is when I decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let me see, October the 7th would have been the day that I was like, all right, let's put it out October 16th.
Okay.
So somewhere in between there, I got the finishing touches. I think it was the week of the 7th is when I finished up. I actually recorded pictures that week, the last piece of it.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, and I was doing it after work, before work.
I know that's other people don't realize that you have a job, like you have a legitimate, I'd say, day job, right? Like you work during Monday through Friday. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
So that's really cool too that you're able to work around that and still do a project on your own. And I'm sure your weekends were probably full of this and enjoying it. What did Cruz think about it? Cruz is her husband, guys.
Yes, and bless his heart, I know he wishes I would have done this sooner because he got it for me like 6 years ago. It's been sitting in here forever. He thought it was cool because I was like, I could do a single, but what if I did an album? And, he's like, well, that's, why not? He's like, if you, like if Ashlyn Craft comes out with an album, you play that on repeat for months. Like if she comes out with a single, you play it for, a couple weeks. And I was like, that's a good point. My dad, he's like, Hank Sr., he didn't sit on his music, so don't sit on yours. Like it'll eat your lunch if you don't do it. He's always been a big supporter too, like of just get it out there, and so I genuinely he was Cruz too. He was massively like on board.
Awesome.
He was like, yeah, do it.
Good.
Do it.
So what's next? Are we going to start dropping more singles as you do them? Or are you going to like trickle release? And there's a couple of pointers I was going to share with you about that, but I'm curious where your head is about the next stuff that you're going to do.
Yeah, I think I actually should have my physical CDs ready as far as this current album by, I'm getting the rest of stuff done by tomorrow. And I've literally, from step one of doing my own photo shoot for the cover photo of the album, down to putting the stickers on the CD, like putting the little clips together of everything. Yes. So once that's all out, I think, the next step is I've got enough for probably another album at the moment. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to do singles or if I'll just do another album in a few months.
Yeah.
So I might just do that.
I think either way, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. I will say those who are wanting to keep content coming. So if your content's coming like an album every 3 or 4 months, then that's awesome. Which it sounds like maybe that might be what you're headed with. But some people like to do like a single every 4 to 6 weeks. And so they keep the content because really as people consume music now, once you get a lot of music out there on the platforms, then once you start releasing, I think Lizzo and some other artists now are starting these campaigns where, and see if you can follow me on this, but what they do is they'll release a single and then the next single, they'll release it as it's technically an album with the first song as the second track to the new song. And then it's called a waterfall release. And so whenever Spotify and iTunes, and they always recommend the next song by that artist. So as you're building it, it waterfalls and pushes them to the next song. song. So you just keep adding to your discography. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. And I have seen a lot of industry, experts talking about how that's a really good strategy. So I thought that Cliff and I would be doing that soon, because we don't have a full album quite yet. So it fits our schedule and everything. But had we had a full album ready to go, of course we'd put it out there. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because it might inspire you to do maybe a single here and there and such. So
yeah, that's a great idea. I hadn't caught in there yet, but that's genuinely genius. I think that's yeah,
cool.
I love that.
2 more questions, and I want to keep this one. This is going to be a short one. I want everybody to get to your music out there online. But 2 more questions. One is how does everyone find you? What is that? Where would they find your website and all of that?
So my website is annabrinker.com, and on my website are all of my social media links, as well as the link to my DistroKid account, which has the link to wherever you listen to music. Mm-hmm. It's every bit of it is listed right there where you can click on, and it'll take you directly to whichever platform you normally listen to or download on.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And last question, what is your favorite song on the album? Do you have one? I know that's a hard question.
Ooh, that's a very hard question.
Or let me ask it this way. If you had one, or did you think certain one would be like the most popular, and were you correct, or were you surprised by another one that people are kind of gravitating toward?
Okay, so people are gravitating towards No Thank You and Home quite a lot, and I love Home because it's about my sweet man, very much. But I didn't expect as much love on that as I got, so it's been really cool. But No Thank You, I was really hoping people would like, and they are. So it really made my day to see that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go, y'all. Y'all got to go get this and stream it, save it, add it to your playlist and all of that. Anna Brinker on Spotify, Apple, and all iTunes and all of the places. And go give her a follow on social media. That's how we all stay connected. And thank you so much. And I'm really excited about what you're doing, and I just love you to death.
Thank y'all. I love y'all too. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you. Well, seriously, y'all are such big supporters of Arkansas music. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We love everybody out there and just want everybody to rise and everybody's music to be heard by the world. So we will see you soon here in Arkansas. But y'all check out Anna, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in today.
Awesome.